Are you a human? Now, before you get up and check the mirror, if you understood my words, you probably are, and that means this video is for you. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to World According to Briggs, and a video about the safest cities in the United States. One of the top things written in human DNA is safety. Humans want to be safe. Safe from the elements, safe from starvation, safe from each other. And that whole safe from each other thing is probably number one these days. There's a lot of stupid humans out there doing horrible things to each other. Last week we did a video on the best cities to live in Texas, and while we were doing the research for that video, we noticed they have a lot of cities that have a very low violent crime rate, and some of them hadn't had a murder in over a decade. And when you're a city of over 100,000, like on this video, that's hard to pull off. Sure, some little town of 200-300 people, their last murder may have been when Nixon was in office. You know, that's easy to pull off when you don't have a lot of people. When you have over 100,000 in a city and you haven't had a murder and your violent crime rate is really low, you're doing something right. But this video is about safety in places that you have a very slim chance of being the victim of a violent crime. As we get older, that becomes more and more important to us. Today's video, we're ranking the safest cities by what their violent crime rate is. I'm going to give you some other stats about their murder rate and where it stands against the national average. All right, let's see what we got. Number 10, Glendale, California. Yeah, that's right, you heard me. I said California. California's got some really nice and really safe places, and Glendale's not too far from Los Angeles, so that should probably shock a lot of you. Glendale is extremely safe. Glendale is a city of just over 200,000 residents in the Los Angeles metro area. It is located about 10 miles north of downtown Los Angeles, and it's got the San Gabriel Mountains behind it. It's over by another nice area called La Cañada Flint Ridge. Glendale boasts a violent crime rate that is 70% lower than the national average. The national average for murders is 5 for every 100,000 residents. Glendale is half that. They're 2.5 for every 100,000 residents. If you look at assaults, the national average is 250 for every 100,000 residents. Glendale has 57.7 for every 100,000 residents. So even though it's not too far from downtown LA and it's got some, nasty neighborhoods within 20 miles, Glendale is a very safe place to live. Number 9. League City, Texas. Yep, our old friend League City. They were just in the last video as a great place to live in Texas. They've got all the right stats in all the right places. The only thing bad about League City is that it can get expensive, housing and cost of living there. But chances are you're not going to be assaulted or killed or anything like that. League City has seen a pretty steep increase in population since the last census. In 2010, they only had 83,000 residents. Right now, they're sitting on 105,000 residents. Normally, when a place grows that quick, they start having some crime problems. League City's holding it together. They don't have many problems. I mean, cost of living, that's about it. The violent crime rate in League City is 71% lower than the national average, and League City only sees 2.7 murders for every 100,000 residents. Their assault numbers are 43.9 for every 100,000 residents. Like I said before, the national average is 250 assaults for every 100,000 residents. Definitely a good place to live. If you get too close to Houston, all bets are off though. I mean, Houston has some pretty ugly areas, and League City is 30 minutes south down the Interstate 45 from downtown Houston. But one great thing about it is they're really close to Galveston, so that's nice. Number 8, Gilbert, Arizona. I've never been a big fan of any place in Arizona, mostly because I don't like the heat and I don't like the desert, but you cannot deny Gilbert is a great place to live. They have about 243,000 residents living there, and their murder rate is 0.4 for every 100,000 residents. Not even 1. 0.4. This is a very safe place to live. You might get assaulted though. They're a little high compared to some of the other ones on this list. 59.5 for every 100,000 residents. Again, national average is 250. The violent crime rate in Gilbert, Arizona is 75% lower than the national average. On top of all that good stuff, housing isn't terribly expensive. The cost of living isn't crazy bad. It's a little up there, but it's not crazy bad. And their schools are decent. So yeah, it's definitely a good place to live. And safe. Number 7, Mcallen, Texas. Mcallen, Texas is a South Texas city of just about 140,000 residents, not too far from Brownsville. It might be a good place to live. My understanding is somewhere around Brownsville, Elon Musk is going to be building another factory of some sort, and they're going to be looking for a lot of employees, so that might be good. It's about an hour and a half west from South Padre Island, so that's always something to do. If you're looking for something to do in Mcallen, I don't know if it's a new mall. I was only in one part of it, but it was either renovated or the whole thing was new, but it's called La Plaza. It was a really nice little mall. They got a yard house there, a great place to have a beer. Anyway, Mcallen's stats are great across the board. Their housing isn't the best, but it's not horrible. But where they really shine is their crime. Their murder rate is 0.7 for every 100,000 residents, and their assaults are 46.2 for every 100,000 residents. Their violent crime rate is 75% lower than the national average. This is a great place to live if you don't mind the heat. And they got great tacos too. Oh my God, fabulous tacos there. I could make a whole channel devoted to my love of tacos. But Mcallen is right on the border with Mexico. I think they're legally obligated to have great tacos. I think those are the rules. Number 6, Pearland. Another city from our best places to live in Texas video. Pearland is another city south of Houston that is very safe. Like I said before, Houston's not known for being a really safe city. I mean, it's got its problems like every major city, and it's one of the largest, so it's to be expected. Not cast no shade on them. But you think Pearland being so close, some of that crime stuff would rub off on them. Not at all. They have 2.4 murders for every 100,000 residents, and assaults are only 31.7 for every 100,000 residents, so that's really good. Their violent crime rate is 76% below the national average. They're doing outstanding. They got a lot of other nice little places around them, but Pearland is a really nice place of 106,000 residents that enjoy a safe community. Number 5, Allen, Texas. Allen is another sweet spot that was on the last list about Texas. It's just north of Plano in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. Allen has around 105,000 residents and a great family section that has a Topgolf, a wakeboarding hydro park, a skate park, a bunch of softball fields, and a guy named Larry who's been trying to crossbreed strawberries and watermelons for over 17 years. This is an extremely safe, family-friendly place to live. Allen hasn't had a murder in years, so their murder rate is 0.0. They have had 51 assaults, 2 of which included a man with a watermelon. The violent crime rate in Allen is 78% below the national average. Number 4, Frisco, Texas. Frisco is just west of Allen, and it has a bunch of golf courses. We talked about that in the last list. Between McKinney, Allen, and Frisco, they've got like 12 golf courses. There's far too many golf courses for this area. Frisco is another safe place to live. They have next to no crime hardly. I mean, we're not getting into the property crime or anything, but their property crime is 63% lower than the national average. So nobody's stealing stuff around here. And on top of that, nobody's killing anyone either. It's 0.5 for every 100,000 residents getting murdered here. And as far as assaults go, it's 41.6 for every 100,000 residents. Those aren't bad numbers. The violent crime rate here is 79% lower than the national average. And Frisco is just all around a great place to live with all the right stats in all the right places, except for cost of living. As we've learned in the past, if it's got great stats everywhere, the only one that's going to suck is cost of living. And if it's got horrible stats everywhere, the only one that's going to be decent is the cost of living. It's how the world works. Frisco has 145,000 residents enjoying those great stats. Number 3, Naperville, Illinois. Naperville is where you want to move to after you've lived in Chicago, getting gouged on rent, enduring an extreme cost of living, and witnessing weekly felonies of varying degrees. Naperville is about 30 minutes west of Chicago, maybe 45, or an hour on the train if you work in the city. So it's a great place to live. It's a nice suburb of Chicago. You could just head on in if you need to work there. I wouldn't advise it. Naperville, unlike Chicago, is quiet and safe. And they have about 145,000 residents enjoying that quiet and safety. Their murder rate is 0.0, which is phenomenal, and their assault rate is only 35 for every 100,000 residents. So you got some safe streets in Naperville. The violent crime rate is 82% lower than the national average. That's not bad for being so close to Chicago. Number 2, Murrieta, California. Murrieta and Temecula, which is right next door, is where you went to buy a house in the late 80s through the 90s if you couldn't afford San Diego or Los Angeles anymore. I have a ton of friends that did this. They still live there to this day. The good news is it's extremely safe, which is kind of shocking when you know that Hemet and Lake Elsinore are in the general vicinity. Those two places suck. Murrieta, Temecula are great. The downside is they don't have jobs out in Murrieta, so if you work from home, this is great, or you're going to be commuting. That's all there is to it. These places back in the late 80s, early 90s, I'd say, there may be 20,000 people living in each one of these cities. Now, Murrieta has 103,000 residents, while Temecula, right next door, has about 114,000. So this is not a big place, and traffic has gotten really bad, and it's gotten really crowded. But it's still nice, and it's safe, both of them. But the murder rate in Murrieta is 2.6 for every 100,000 residents, and their assaults is only 20.9 for every 100,000 residents. So that's pretty good. Their violent crime rate is 83% lower than the national average. Not bad. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget to give the video a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Maybe someday we'll get to 1 million subscribers. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Irvine, California. How about that? We're in California again. Irvine is one of the best places to live in Southern California. That's just a fact. Back in January, we did a video on the best cities to live in California, and it was on there. It's a great place to live. You're not too far from the beach. It has jobs, good schools, tons of things to do. Sure, cost of living is up there. Houses are expensive. They got their fair share of traffic. I mean, it's not too far from Los Angeles. Technically, it's in Orange County, but it's really close to Los Angeles. So they got traffic. It's a little crowded, but it's still a great place to live. As far as safety goes, it's incredible. Keep in mind, this is in the Los Angeles vicinity. I won't say it's in the metro area, but it's in the vicinity of Los Angeles, and their murder rate is 0.3 out of 100,000. That ain't bad. Their assaults are only 23.6, again, phenomenal, and their violent crime rate is 83% lower than the national average. This is outstanding for a city that has 246,000 residents. It's actually a little bit more now. It's closer to 250,000 with the new census. But Irvine, California is the absolute safest city to live in the United States. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. If you think there's a city that is safer, that has over 100,000, I would love to hear about it in the comment section below. Maybe we'll do another video like this. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Be nice to each other.